Hi, everyone. Welcome to another 10 to 20 with Tanya. I'm Tanya. I'm actually putting my headphones on because I had the wrong ones on when our live started. Let me know where you are from. If you're listening with me here, let me know where you are from. And hopefully, I've got some of my friends from Instagram here. Hello, welcome, Sundas Albal Abalushi. I hope I said that correctly. Hello, Chayam Salami. Welcome. I am from Oman. Welcome from Oman. I hope that some of you are you joining me from Instagram or are you following me here on are you subscribed to my YouTube channel here? So today I've got my cup of tea with me here. I just made some hot tea, so it's a little too hot to drink. And I'm going to talk a little bit about something that happened, something that I discovered, I guess you could say, when I went to England. So if you have watched other videos here with us on YouTube or over on our Instagram, you have probably heard some stories about when my daughters and I went to England. This was before the pandemic. I think it was in, let me see, because I have some pictures here. I think it was 2018. So it's been, wow, almost exactly 3 years ago. Welcome, everyone. I have people here subscribed and from Instagram. Hi, Cassio. Great to see you. Cassio took a class with me, a live class with me, an class on Zoom, I should say. I almost said in person. Welcome. So, welcome all of those of you who are here from Instagram and those that are of you that are here from YouTube. Hopefully, you'll join us here on YouTube. So, I was just telling about when I went to England with my two girls about 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago now. We were celebrating both of their birthdays. Both of them have birthdays in November. And we went there, I think, in the middle of November, if I remember correctly. And my oldest daughter, Tiana, was studying there in Brighton at the University of Brighton. And she was studying English at the time, English literature. And my younger daughter, Talia, and I came to visit her for a couple of weeks, and it was fabulous. We had never been to England before. So, have any of you been to England? I'm curious. Let me know in the comments. We have people from Brazil, Algeria, um, coming from Instagram, India. Welcome, welcome from all over the world here. So we went to London first, and then we took some time and drove around the countryside, and we ended up staying in Brighton for most of the time we were there. But one of the big things we wanted to do was to see the castle from the television show Downton Abbey. I'm going to write this in the comments here. Okay, one person says they've never been to England. Have any of you seen Downton Abbey? It's a British television show, so it's British English. Welcome from Kurdistan. And it's a historical novel is a book, so it's a historical show, historical fiction, I guess is what we would say. About a family living in England in 1912. I believe the story begins in maybe a little earlier. It begins before World War I when the Titanic sank. And I believe that's in and about 1910, 11, 12, somewhere in there. And this story follows this family then through World War I and beyond. And it's fiction, but it's based on some actual events. And my family and I love this show. We would watch this show every week. We would wait for this show to happen. And so when we went to England, we wanted to see the castle where they filmed the show. So I think you can see here this picture. This is my 2 daughters walking towards the castle, and the name of this castle is Highclere Castle, but we call it Downton Abbey because we've watched the show so much. And I'm gonna put the name there in the comments, Highclere Castle. It's an actual castle. You can take tours. There have been dukes and duchesses that have lived in this castle through history. And when you're on the tour, you can hear some of the history of the castle. And we were so excited because, of course, we've seen this castle many times, or we had seen this castle many times when we watched this show. But there was a surprise that we had not expected. We hadn't even thought about it. Um, so we come to the place to get the tour. First of all, we drove there. I drove there, and some of you may know in England, they drive on the other side of the street from how we do it in the United States. So that was quite an experience. Then we get to the castle, and you can walk around and see all the beautiful sights because, of course, this castle is on a huge piece of property that was fabulous. And then we waited out in front of the castle. I'm going to see if I can find some more pictures to show you while I'm talking. We don't have a lot of pictures in here from the castle. I don't know why. We waited for, oh, here we are in front of the castle, waiting for the tour. So you can see it's cold. We have on our winter clothes. I have on a hat. I'm in the middle of this picture, and Tiana is on this side of me, and Talia is on this side of me, the other side of me. And the front door is quite ornate. All of this is, all these details, we would say this is ornate. I'll put that word. The front of the castle was quite ornate. The front of the castle was quite ornate. By the way, this is a great opportunity to practice your English while you're listening. If I'm typing something like that, you can copy what I'm saying, or we would say, you can shadow me. You can shadow me. So say it with me. You can shadow me. You can shadow me. The front of the castle was quite ornate. We in the United States don't use the word quite as often. We don't use the word quite as often as they do in England. That's a little tricky, that sentence. Um, they like to use that word to describe things all the time. We use it occasionally, like I just did. So we were enjoying all of the ornament on the castle, all of the views in the distance. Then we go in to have this tour, and pardon me, because I love historical fiction. I love historical stories. I am soaking up all of the stories. We could say I was soaking up all the stories. Do you know what I mean when I say I was soaking up all the stories? If you know what I mean, put your answer in the comments there. So I'm soaking up all of the stories. I'm loving this experience. And then the woman who actually lives in the castle tells us the story of how one of the owners in the early 1900s, so at about the same time that the story of Downton Abbey was made, was very interested in archaeology. And he went several times on an archaeological expedition. He would go to do archaeological digs. I'm going to put that, archaeological digs, where they would carefully dig up the earth to try to find things that have been covered by the earth. And that, as you know, we find old bones, old civilizations, all kinds of things like this. So, excuse me while I take a little drink of my tea. So I'm very interested in this story, wondering what this gentleman who lived in this castle might have found. And apparently, he started to run out of money. He didn't have a lot of money, but he decided to invest the last money that he could in his hobby. It was really a hobby to um, go out with an archaeologist. He was not necessarily an archaeologist. I'm not sure about that. You could look that up. But he um, hired, I know that he did hire an archaeologist, and they went to do this dig to see what they could find. And they came across the tomb of King Tut. King Tut is an incredibly very famous Egyptian king, and the reason he we know so much about him is because this man who lived at this castle found his tomb, found where he was buried, found where all of these things were. And so this was amazing to me. Um, I did not at all plan to have this extra experience in this, tourist experience that my daughters and I were having. We just came to see the castle, but then we found out that the owner of this castle actually was the person who funded the expedition to who found King Tut's tomb and all of the treasures that were there. So Cassio says he thinks that soaking up means processing or thinking about something. Is that correct? Yes, that is correct. It is. It's like if I'm soaking something up, it means that I'm processing it, I'm taking it in, I'm thinking about it, and that I love it. That I love it so much, I'm taking it all in. Other people may be listening and thinking about it, but they're not soaking it up. They're listening a little bit, but they're not soaking it up. I love history, I love architecture, I love all of those kinds of things, so I was soaking it up. Great, great thinking, Cassio. So this goes even further. All of the things that they found in King Tut's tomb, the guy who owns this castle rebuilt. So he built again what all of that was under his home, like a museum. So I'm not sure where the actual things are. He has some of the artifacts. Artifacts are the things that they found in the tomb, the things they found when they were digging. But I believe, don't quote me on that. When someone says, don't quote me on this, it means literally don't say that Tanya said that, but also it means I don't know for sure. But I believe most of the valuable things are in a museum, of course. But underneath the house, they rebuilt the tombs as they found them. So part of the tour that we took actually included going under the house, under the castle, and seeing where the tombs what those tombs looked like, I should say. Um, and I'm sure you've seen pictures of King Tut and his tombs because at least in when I was a child in history, we learn all about King Tut. Did you learn about King Tut when you were a child, or have you learned about King Tut? Let me know here in the comments. I'm going to see what some people have said in the comments. Sunda says, so it means that you are getting information that you are interested in. Yes. Not only are you getting the information, you're taking it in. You're really listening. You're really interested when you're soaking something up. Now, to soak something up can literally mean, for instance, if I were to spill my tea right now, I would take a towel and soak it up. Soak it up. So if I spill my tea by accident, I will use this towel to soak it up. That means I don't want the tea or the water or whatever I spilled on my table or whatever. So I will soak up the tea with the towel. This is the most direct literal meaning of the phrasal verb to soak up. But we can also use it to mean I'm soaking up something. There's a really, at one time was a very a popular song called I'm Gonna Soak Up the Sun. I'm gonna soak up the sun by Carol somebody. Carol, I can't believe can't remember her name. It will come to me or I will put it in the comments. Carol King. Came to me. Carol King. And I love this song. That might not be the title of it, but it's definitely in the chorus, the part they sing over and over. Miriam, welcome. King Tut is new to me, she says. I've never heard about that. That's interesting. Hopefully, if you're listening, you have Googled King Tut or looked on Akosha, which is my favorite search engine, to see. I feel pretty sure that you've seen a picture of King Tut. I'm going to use Akosha, which is the search engine that I love to use. Here's what Akosha looks like. It's a lot like Google, but they plant trees to help neutralize their carbon footprint. So that basically what that means is it's good for the environment. Okay, so here's some images. I feel pretty certain that you have seen pictures like this. Has anyone seen a picture of King Tut before? This was part of what they found in the tomb. And so they had a replica. Who knows what a replica is? They had a replica of this is what he was buried in, King Tut. And let's see if there's any other pictures. Oh, here's the whole thing that he was buried in. You can see, well, no, that's a little different than what I was thinking. But you can go on, hopefully, Akosha, and find out a lot more about King Tut. And you can read lots of articles about King Tut. Does anybody know what a replica is? They made a replica of his tomb. Sunda says King Tut was one of the youngest kings. Yes, you're right. They called him the boy king, because he was so young. And I read an article recently, and I hate to quote it because I don't always remember everything exactly as I read it, which is, I guess, now I'm mumbling, which is common, I guess. But there was also a queen that they believe was buried nearby, and I cannot think of her name. I know it ends with TT. The reason I remember that is because T names are very common in my family. So this is the story that I wanted to share with you today. I hope that you learned at least one new interesting thing, one thing to help you with your English. I have lives here on Instagram, here on YouTube and on Instagram every week. I try to go live here on YouTube at least once a week. You can listen to the recording, which I recommend, so that you can get more of what you heard and practice your English by copying the things that I say. All right. Abby says, are you doing good more than yesterday? Yes, Abby, thank you. I'm doing great. I'm feeling much better than last week, especially. And Cassio says, replica is a copy or a model of something. Yes, exactly. They made a replica of King Tut's tomb, means they made a copy or a model of it. All right, everyone. Sunda says, I actually learned a new way of speaking. Thank you. You're welcome, Sunda. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for giving us a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, be sure to hit the subscribe button below and go to the comments where this will be recorded, or if you're listening to this recorded, let me know if this video is helpful, what you want more of, what you want less of. We're very open to feedback, and I'll see you in another video soon. Bye.